Good evening again. This is CTV News for Thursday, February 23rd. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Byron Scott. Glad to have you with us tonight. Well, two bills before the Maryland legislature are aimed at expanding the definition of domestic violence. Supporters holding a news conference this afternoon. House Bill 803 and Senate Bill 900 would add written and electronic harassment, and malicious destruction of property to the definition of domestic violence, thus making it easier for victims to get a protective order.
And malicious destruction of property, they are turned away. They are not offered those protections. Oftentimes, and we'll have testimony that those situations escalate into further violence and in some cases fatalities. These protections will help stem the scourge of domestic violence that's hurting our families in the state of Maryland and Prince George's County.
2016, there were 20 domestic homicides, and for 16, Prince George's County accounted for nearly half of all of the domestic homicides in the entire state of Maryland. There is something about this.
This bill is extremely important and yet another step to give those who need it the authority to define when and what is abuse and harassment.
The measure failed to pass last session. A hearing on the current bill was held in the Senate Judiciary Committee this afternoon. Well, hundreds of people rally on Lawyers Mall in Annapolis today. They are protesting in favor of the Keep the Door Act Open Act and urging lawmakers not to cut funding for mental health and treatment for substance abuse. Provisions in the act would allow for a rate increase to state-run clinics.
We have record epidemic overdoses occurring in Maryland. We have an increase in suicidal behaviors. We have families that are in crisis. It's essentially a time of crisis.
I have a year clean right now, and I'm struggling severely with getting help with services.
We're out here taking a stand, showing that people with mental health, they are human also. So that's what we're doing out here today.
And you're from Bowie State?
Yes, Bowie State University.
Versions of the bill passed both chambers last year but could not get an identical bill before the end of the session.
Many localities in Maryland currently allow non-citizens to vote in municipal elections, but that could change. Republican Senator Brian Simonar is sponsoring a bill that will prohibit individuals who are not in the United States legally from voting at all. A hearing on the legislation took place today in the Senate Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs Committee. An early morning fire causes major damage. It happened in the 9800 block of Kisconko Road in Fort Washington. The blaze began just after 1 a.m. It started outside but then extended to the inside of the house. 2 adults were displaced. Damage is estimated at $300,000. What do you think about the way the new president is handling his job? Well, according to a new Goucher poll, many Marylanders disapprove. Specifically, it indicates 64% of people in the state are satisfied with Donald Trump's work so far. Only 29% approve. Opinions are divided along partisan lines. Among Democrats, 88% disapprove, as well as 56% of independents. But among Republicans, 71% approve of the president's work so far. In terms of Congress, the poll says 72% of Marylanders disapprove of the job members are doing.
And a Rockville accountant pleads not guilty to a federal bribery charge, according to the Washington Post. 58-year-old Feliz Alea is accused of paying off a Prince George's lawmaker to obtain thousands in taxpayer funds. Ayala allegedly paid then County Council member Will Campos $5,000 a year between 2012 and 2015. In exchange, he received $25,000 in annual cash funding for the caucus. His company, Ayala, entered the plea in the U.S. District Court in Greenbelt on yesterday, 3 weeks after he was charged in the case. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Denise Douglas. You can